want to thank you for coming and joining me today. I first moved and I relocated to another area. I was through your process. The year that you can get out of it as well. Hello, welcome back to Happy Life, Better Life. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our community. Um, a few I don't know, I guess last week I posted a video about the negatives of starting over after divorce or separation in your 40s and 50s. So this is going to be part 5, and I'm talking about the positives. The positives of starting over in your 40s and 50s after a divorce or separation. And I'm going to be chiming in because I have some notes over here. So if you see me glance over to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I wanted to make sure that I did not forget anything. So, number one of the first positives of starting over in your 40s and 50s is that number one, you get a brand new start. I've always said that you have to learn to teach yourself to look at it as a beginning and not just an ending. And I know that that may sound harder, um, or it may sound easier than it is, because I know that for many of us it can be very difficult, especially if you still love the person that you were with, and if you wanted to be with them and you wanted to see that situation work out, or if you are in the place where you're mourning the loss of that relationship. So, looking at the bright side of things, getting to start over, it's huge. At first, it can be frightening. At first, it can be disappointing when you realize that you're in this place where you have to get a whole new vision for your life. But once you embrace it, it can become something really magical for you. So getting to start over. You know, I always say when you're at the bottom, there's no place to go but up. And that in itself is freeing. It's freeing because you know that you have this blank canvas and you get to paint it any color that you like. So that was one of the first things, embracing the fact that you get to start over. The second thing um, that I had is if you didn't like certain things about your life or even certain things about yourself, you get to change that. You get to change that narrative. Certain things you might not like about your life could be where you lived. You know, maybe you lived in one part of the country, but you always wanted to move to another part of the country. Well, now you get the chance to do that. You get the chance to start over. Um, so that would be the number thing, not just starting over, but getting to reinvent your life, being able to reinvent yourself. You know, because when you go to a new place and you're starting over, you know, maybe you always wanted to be someone who was more adventurous. Maybe you were kind of shy and sheltered or shut down, and you want to experience living life more out loud. Well, you get to do that. The other thing, this is a number 3 thing, and one of the positives is that you don't have to seek permission for certain things. You don't have to please somebody else at that point. If it's just you and you're starting over, and let's say you get a new apartment, maybe before you had to be color neutral in your choice of things, and maybe now you want everything to be pink and gold, or blue and gold, or gold and silver, whatever it is that you like. You don't have to try to compromise with that. You can just go for it. You can go for it. You know, um, maybe before you had a set schedule and you had to have dinner on the table, every day at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or whatever. Maybe that was your old program, and now you might feel like, well, I don't feel like cooking tonight. I'm just going to order out. You can do that because it's just you. You don't have to answer to anyone else at this point. So I'm just looking at different things that I know for me, I had to learn to embrace even the simple things, even the simple things. And those things gave me joy. So, another benefit, another positive is that you, through already being in a relationship, you learn things about yourself that you did not know before. You know, if you were married before and maybe you were younger, maybe you didn't really know who you were, what you needed in another mate. Most of the time, when we come out of these relationships, I always say if we don't know what we want, we definitely know what we don't want. And so sometimes when we start out, getting back into the world of dating, we are going solely on what we know we don't want. We look for certain red flags, you know, and we're more aware of ourselves. So let me say that for me, um, I knew that I needed someone that I could talk to about anything. That was important. I wanted a partner who was stable. And um, I would say I was very young, but because my life growing up with a single mother was so unstable, in my opinion, like we were always moving, I always had to start a new school. There was so much transition, and I wanted to be stable. That was really what I wanted most of all for me and for any future children that I had. But through being married, I learned certain other things about myself. That number one, I need someone who's affectionate, someone who doesn't mind showing and receiving affection. Some people don't need that, but some people do. And if you're incompatible in that way, it can really leave a person who needs that um, feeling unfulfilled, So we'll just put it that way. I learned that I needed someone who liked to laugh, someone who, even during difficult times, could still make you smile. That was something that was important. The other thing is someone who receives repair attempts. Um, I've met people over the years, people who will, outright say to you, I hold grudges, and this could be a man, it could be a woman. People will tell you sometimes who they are and what they are, and they're telling you this because they have no intent on changing that. So, when people tell you that they hold grudges and they don't get over things, I'm the complete opposite of that. I will, even if I get upset or angry, I will not want to stay there. We'll try to fix it if we can. If we can't fix it in the moment, then we'll come back to it. But I don't want it to ruin our entire day. I don't want whatever that thing is to ruin the entire day or the entire week. And if I'm someone who's trying to reach out and repair whatever's happened that's gone wrong, and you are someone who were just fixed in your position and you don't want to bend at all, you don't want to compromise at all, you don't even want to receive the I'm sorry, then that's going to be a problem, you know. So you come to a place of learning more about you and what you need. So when you are looking for a partner, a companion, a mate, you know that this is what I want. And you can say that definitively in yourself. I'm not talking about some of the, I will say, the less significant things that people talk about, how tall a person is, and not even how much money they make, because I don't know, to me that's still somewhat superficial. I mean, people have what they need, and if that's part of your deal breakers, then, so be it. I'm not here to judge. But, that is something that can also change for people from being married or being in a relationship to the place where that meant so much before. It meant so much that they made this amount of money, that they did this, but now I see that's not as important as this over here, you know? So these things change, and it's good to be aware of what you need in a partner, in a mate. So going on to number five, um, relocating. I literally relocated from where I was. I lived in a city in like an urban area. And when I was on my own, I mean, I always knew growing up that I would say I'm a city girl with a country heart because whenever we went down south, I always felt more peaceful, more happy, more just I don't know, excited to be in my surroundings. I love the grass. I love the trees. I love the fact that things seemed more relaxed, a little slower. And so I decided that I was going to move to an area that was more like that. And that's what I did. I relocated. And I realized also, in part of relocating, my intention was to be somewhere where the cost of living was cheaper. So, yes, you give up certain conveniences. Like when I lived in the city, there was all kinds of arts, all kinds of restaurants, all kinds of everything. You could locate different things. You could find something to do at 10 o'clock at night. This is how it was. But the area that I moved to was not like that at all. It wasn't very diverse at all. It did not have the same access to the arts and stuff like that, but I could travel. I could go to Pittsburgh, I could go to State College, I could go to Harrisburg, I could go to Philadelphia, I could even go to New York if I wanted to. And these places were all within somewhere between 2 to 6 hours away. So, there was still access to it if I wanted it. But where I lived, it was much lower. But where I was living before when I was in, an urban area, what I was paying for rent and stuff was like for a 1 bedroom apartment because that was what I could afford there by myself at that time. But when I moved, I was able to afford a 3 bedroom house with 2 bathrooms and a huge yard and stuff like that for the dog that I had. And, I had a basement where I had weight equipment and stuff down there. And I had a living room and another area, sitting room, a full eating kitchen, and a laundry area. So it's like, you know, I was able to do way more with less in the area that I moved to, which is something you guys may want to consider. If you are single, you know, a lot of times your household income has been split in half, you know, and sometimes maybe more. If he made way more than you may now have a third of what you had as a household income. So you've got to make it on far less. So relocating was the answer for me, but also it brought me closer to being in the kind of environment I wanted to be in. The only fallback was that it was much colder because I lived like up in the mountains and stuff. So it was more snow, it was colder. Um, but the day to day was easier as far as when it came to my bills and things like that. And I was able to buy a car and do those things and actually, hey, have a home, have a car, and do this by myself as one person. So relocation can be a good thing. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a good one. I learned not to filter my emotions. I don't know, sometimes when people are in relationships and they're really happy or they're really sad, they don't really fully express those things. The main things that people feel comfortable expressing is anger, you know, even when their true emotion really isn't anger. But it's like for some reason, when we're happy, we feel like we can't show just how happy we are. You know, we try to filter it, we try to dumb it down. You know, I learned not to do that. You know, there are people who know me and know that certain things make me happy. If you bring me a bag of gummy bears, I'm going to be totally ecstatic because that's something that's part of my happy place because I like gummy bears, but I only like one kind, one brand, and that's in the gold bag. So anyway, people would often, you know, do little things like that, things that they know you like, and they bring that to you, and yes, it would make me very happy. So when your significant other, when he would come to see me and he's got a bag of gummy bears with him, yes, I'm totally ecstatic. And you learn to appreciate the little things, just simple caring and concern. It means a lot. And so don't filter that, even when you're sad. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. This is a little secret about me. I cannot be with someone that I cannot have, for lack of a better word, I call it lap time. So, say I'm having a bad day and I don't really want to talk about it because maybe I don't want to dump a whole lot of negativity or whatever, but maybe I just want lap time, which for me is the equivalent of having my significant other sitting on their lap. I can lay my head on their shoulder. They'll hold me, tell me it's going to be okay, and that's all I need. And we move on from there. But if I looked at a person and felt like I can't feel comfortable enough with you, or I don't even want to sit on your lap and, you know, just have that moment, then I'm not going to be with that person. It's a simple thing. But learning not to filter your emotions, that you can actually be that vulnerable with this person to say, look, I had a really bad day. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go into it. But, you know, can I just have this moment? And they are happy and willing to give that to you. Honestly, men love if a woman can be that vulnerable, to say, to even want to sit on their lap, put their head on their shoulder, whatever, and you just chill for that moment. Now, that moment can be a really good moment. It can go into other places, but we're still talking about, the benefits of starting over in your 40s and 50s after separation or divorce. So that's one of the things I got to have. So, as we are rounding out this list, being more appreciative. I learned to be so appreciative of the little things, and this is probably like, I don't know, number 7 or 8 on the list. Being appreciative of the little things meant that, like I said, when someone, has thought about you and they buy you your favorite candy or they get you your favorite flowers or whatever it is, or they take the time out of their day just to call you and say, I love you, or I'm thinking about you. It could even be your girlfriends. Hey, girl, you were on my mind. I'm just checking in. You are so appreciative if you allow yourself to be. And it gives you so much more happiness and fulfillment in your life because you realize when you lose people in your life or when things change and those things fall apart, nobody really has to love you. They don't have to. So if they do it and they choose to do it and they do it happily, listen, that's somebody you better appreciate. You better appreciate that. So the final thing I want to say on this is I learned to make peace um, with even my ex, that we got to a place of peace. that when we needed to come together as a family, as a whole unit, whether it was for my son who might have been experiencing a bout of sickness, or whether it was to celebrate the birth of one of our grandchildren, or if it was to celebrate my daughter graduating from college, or whatever the case was, we could come together in peace and be genuinely happy. That means a lot. So when you can do that and you can really, say, hey, despite whatever ending, we are supportive of each other in this, and we're supportive of our children. I feel like if I really need something and my ex has it, that I can ask for it, and if they can do it, they're going to do it. And it's the same thing for me. So these are some of the benefits of starting over. Things you might have thought about, things maybe you haven't thought about, as you've gone through things. And I'm sure many of you out there have had your own experiences. Definitely put it in the comments. What was a benefit for you, starting over after a divorce or a separation? And even some things that maybe were not expected. Maybe you found love again and it was, you know, amazing. you know, Maybe you remarried. I know some people who didn't even get married until they were in their 40s and 50s and things. And so, finding love and finding true companionship is always, always a tremendous blessing. So I want to thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me and talking about some of the benefits. I want you to lift your head up if you find yourself in a rough place right now, and know that you're going to make it through that. It wasn't all roses and stuff for me, but then I did eventually get to the place where I was riding four wheelers. I was going to the beach and stuff with family, taking family trips, and doing all kinds of things that I really wasn't doing before. And you will too. You are the creator of your own life, and always remember that. So thank you for sharing this time with me. I want you to live a happy life and a better life. Have a great day.